Good morning. Well, it's on now for sure. Good morning, everyone. So like the third time I say that, we're going to get quiet in the room. Seriously, happy Wednesday to all of you and hanging out on this beautiful day. I am Ruby Bright. I'm the president and CEO of the Women's Foundation for Greater Memphis. And I am just delighted that you all have come out to share with us in our annual meeting. The purpose of this meeting is simply to first say, if it wasn't for you, we would not have the success that we've had in a community that's just around the corner, where we vowed over 5 years ago, actually almost 7, that we would remain in that community and support the families towards their transition to success. And we're very proud of those accomplishments to date. You will hear more about how we dare to take the model of supporting families, supporting communities, supporting schools to other zip codes. We have many of you who are here with us in person, obviously, but we also have some that are with us virtually. I want to welcome you too. Thank you for tuning in. Our grantee partners are here, and you'll learn more about them. And thank you to all of our stakeholders. Thank you to all of our visitors that want to learn more about the Women's Foundation. You will. Today is a day for celebration. And the celebration is for you. You. Again, when you look around the room, you see Memphis. You see the faces of Memphis, the face of our community that we want to be strong. And with that, it is my pleasure to turn this over to our co-chair, Gina Brewer. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you, Ruby, and good morning. Wow, this is a full room. Thank you for being here. I am Gina Brewer, co-chair of the board of directors. Unfortunately, my partner and co-chair, Dr. Marcia Bowden-Marche, was unable to make it this morning. This is our first annual meeting as co-chairs of the board, and we are both honored to serve in this role and truly appreciate each of you being here. I'd like to wish a very warm welcome to our Women's Foundation board, trustees, grantee partners, and all of our community stakeholders. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have each of you here today as we celebrate and enumerate the value of our partnerships with you and the impact of our work. We also look forward to hearing from our panelists and other special guests today. The annual meeting is now called to order. We've made significant progress within our community over the last year, and we appreciate your support. If any elected officials are with us, please stand. We appreciate each of you for being with us, and thank you to all of our local government officials and representatives for your service and commitment to Memphis and Shelby County. To begin the business portion of our meeting, I'll call for the approval of the Women's Foundation. The May 19th, 2022 board meeting includes updates from the Grants and Programs Committee and results from the annual Tribute Luncheon and Leadership Symposium. The minutes were sent to board members prior to today's meeting for review and approval. Are there any changes to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved by acclamation. Sherry Hollis, our finance chair, will now present the finance report. Sherry.
Good morning, everyone. And I would like to tell you that I can see exactly what I wrote here, but my eyes are not that great anymore. So I'm always humbled. So I'd like to take a moment to thank the amazing Ruby Bright and her entire Women's Foundation team. And getting to the business at hand, I'm pleased to report that our finance committee has gotten ahead of the game. We've done our due diligence, and we have already approved the June financials and the interim budget. Likewise, we've presented the interim budget to the executive committee, which has already been approved by the executive committee. So it is my great pleasure to tell you that we are on a solid financial foundation, and we look forward to using the funds that we have toward Vision 2025 and appreciate all of your support. And I now, Madam Co-Chair, will ask for ratification of the June financials and the interim budget. Thank you.
Do we have any questions regarding the June financials or interim budget? Hearing none, the financials are ratified by acclamation. Thank you, Sherry. Karen Johnson, our Fund Development Chair, will now give the Fund Development Report and special recognition. Karen?
Thank you, Gina, and welcome everyone on this wet Wednesday. You all powered through the rain, so I appreciate y'all being here, and I love the fact that we do have a full house today. So I am Karen Johnston. I serve as the Foundation's Fund Development Chair, and on behalf of the entire board, I want to express my appreciation to our esteemed co-chairs, Gina and Marcia, for leading us this year. This year, the board set a pretty aggressive goal of $3 million to make an impact on the lives of women and children in this community. I'm happy to announce that we not only met the goal, but we exceeded it by $71,000. We are grateful to our donors, our board and trustees, the volunteers, and especially the staff that has worked so hard to make this campaign successful. It's my pleasure to recognize those who served in key fundraising and community leadership roles to make this year such a success. Today, I'm honored to express appreciation to our event sponsors and our committee leaders. We have taken a lot of gratitude that they have picked up such a big ball and pushed all of our fundraising goals to the finish line. So I'm going to recognize some folks today, if you could please stand. For the past 5 years, Bank of America has been the presenting sponsor of Power of the Purse. This past fall, our Power of the Purse auction was a wonderful experience that was one of the most successful auctions to date. Thanks to all of our sponsors and again to our volunteers. We are grateful for a dynamic duo that led the planning committee and brought great energy and engagement opportunities for our guests and attendees. The Power of the Purse Leadership Committee members included co-chairs Trivia Chapman and Christine Grant, please stand. Our honorary co-chairs Rosie Phillips Davis and Josie Wurzburg. And they are all to be congratulated for exceeding our fundraising goal of over $60,000. I'm also pleased to announce that this year's Power of the Purse auction will be October 27th, and it will be at the Children's Museum again. The information, the save the date card is in your packet, so please pass that along to friends. And again, I want to announce that Bank of America is our presenting sponsor again this year, so thank you so much for that. The 2022 annual Tribute Luncheon and Leadership Symposium was a half-day virtual experience followed by an in-person luncheon. A lot of you were there, and we thank you for your support. Both events were designed to connect, uplift, and empower attendees in their personal and professional lives. More than 1,000 attendees participated in both of those events. The Leadership Symposium featured 12 dynamic panelists with focus on women empowering women on the path to personal and financial success. The Tribute Luncheon presenting sponsor, again, was FedEx, and we are very grateful for their partnership over the past 20 years. Baptist Memorial Healthcare Corporation was a presenting sponsor for the Leadership Symposium. The leadership committee members included the co-chairs Marcia Bowden and Gina Brewer, the corporate co-chair Monica Skipper, our Vision 2025 chair Susan Stevenson, our logistics chair Tony Boland Evans, and our leadership symposium co-chair Anne Marie Wallace. During the luncheon program, we announced a $50,000 challenge grant presented by the Hyde Family Foundation. We quickly met and exceeded that challenge goal. We all need to be congratulated for exceeding our overall goal by raising more than $245,000 at that event. Leading the fund development efforts in the foundation is very special to me. I've had the opportunity to be a part of the many activities that we have hosted in the neighborhoods that we serve. I've seen firsthand how deep the need is and how committed the Women's Foundation remains to improving the economic mobility of the families that we serve. I will continue to do my best and influence others to give their time and their dollars. And if you're in this room, you have had a role in that, and we thank you. We have envelopes. Here's my plug. Sorry, got to do it. We have envelopes in your backpacks and in your packets today. If you care to provide a small donation today, or if you want to pass that along to friends as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't just say to lovely Ruby Bright how much we love you. And we will continue to serve well and make you proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and members of the Fund Development Committee for your leadership this year. This has been our most successful fundraising year ever, and we appreciate the board and staff's hard work to accomplish this monumental goal. As we look ahead and celebrate a milestone year of philanthropy, collaboration, and leadership, we will be strategically investing the dollars raised back into the community. We are proud of the role the foundation plays as a backbone organization supporting grantee and community partners that work tirelessly to improve the well-being and quality of life for women and families. With our Vision 2020 strategic initiative, we watched a community evolve and transform into a vibrant and promising neighborhood. We are proud of our $7.1 million strategic investment in programs serving families in South City, zip code 38126. Our unique two-generation approach to reducing poverty proved to be extremely successful, received national recognition, and serves as the foundation for our Vision 2025 strategic plan. We know without a doubt that our grantee partners and community partners are the key to expanding our place-based model and approach to our work in the community. We are fully committed to empowering our families to reach their full potential. The overall goal of our current Vision 2025 strategic plan is to increase investment and reduce poverty in 5 Memphis zip codes by 2025. We will continue our work in 38126 and expand into zip codes 38105, 38106, 38107, and 38108. Based on our 5-year projected budget, we will raise over $15 million and leverage matching support to achieve greater outcomes for more families. We've already begun the implementation of this new strategic plan. Vision 2025 is centered around 5 goal areas. First, case management and wraparound services. Second, job skills and employment. Third, early childhood development. Fourth, youth development and employment. And fifth, financial education and asset building. We are using the knowledge gained and lessons learned over the last 5 years as we expand into additional neighborhoods and impact the lives of 20,000 individuals in our community. The Women's Foundation believes that collaborative partnerships are critical to helping achieve our outcomes. In our annual report, we provide more information about the impact and results of Vision 2020, leading through the moment with our COVID-19 response project and our investment in women's leadership. One of our newest partnerships, the Kroger Next Generation Scholarship Fund, is a prime example. The Women's Foundation for a Greater Memphis partnered with the Kroger Foundation and Lemoyne Owen for the Next Generation Scholarship Fund. Thanks to Kroger's generous $500,000 investment, graduates of Booker T. Washington will be able to receive scholarships to attend Lemoyne Owen College, Memphis's only HBCU. The Next Generation Scholarship will cover all related expenses, including tuition, room and board, books, meal plans, and all student fees. Students will also receive mentoring services through their journey, as well as paid internship opportunities. On behalf of the board's Grants and Programs Committee, Marcia and I are happy to announce our fiscal year 2023 investment of nearly $1.5 million to 34 grantee partners and other grant-making programs. The full list of partners is listed on the screen as well as in your program. If any representatives from our grantee partner organizations are here, please stand and be recognized. Thank you for all the hard work you do throughout the year, and thank you for being here with us today. This year, Marcia and I have worked closely with the staff, being engaged to gain a closer look at the impact of our philanthropy, leadership, and collaboration. We want you to see our vision at work. Now, I would like to invite our panelists and moderator to join us. They each represent our grantee partners and innovative programs and collaborations that we are implementing. Can you hear me? Okay. So First, we'll welcome our moderator and panelists. Each have a brief bio in your program. We will start with our moderator, Chief Strategy and Impact Officer of Seeding Success, Jamalika Burke. Did I say your name correctly?
Close enough. Jamilica.
Jamilica. Sorry, thank you. We have Executive Vice President of Urban Strategies, Donovan Duncan. Marlon Foster, Executive Director of Knowledge Quest. Catherine Gamel, Director of Supply Chain Transportation of AutoZone and Women's Foundation Grants and Programs Chair. And Amity Schuyler, Senior Vice President of Workforce Development of the Greater Memphis Chamber and also a Women's Foundation board member. Thank you guys for being here.
Well, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Jamilica Burke, and I am with Seeding Success. And with Seeding Success, we are an organization that really focuses on improving social and economic mobility, a lot of alignment with the work that the Women's Foundation does. And in our work, we work to improve outcomes for every child, cradle to career, by really working towards improving the way institutions, community organizations, policies, and resources work together to support the community. So in my role as Chief Strategy and Impact Officer, I do a lot of our support around convening and supporting partners, really a lot of the strategic planning and project management of some of the systems initiatives that we do across the community. Currently, we're doing some work around More for Memphis through an investment from Blue Meridian Partners. And what that work is helping us to enable is really convene several partners based from community partners, youth, individuals that have been impacted by the system to really think strategically around what are the resources and strategies that we need to have in place in order to move the needle. How do we do that in a aligned and coordinated systematic way to where we can see the outcomes that we want to see for our communities, not just for us today, but for our children 15, 20 years from now. So in that work is really exciting and it's just budding. So we'll be able to share more of that as we go into it. In our work at Seeding Success, we've also had an opportunity to do a lot of strategic work with the Women's Foundation, most recently with Evidence to Success. In role, we were really able to help with a lot of the data research and analysis to support identifying key needs for families in the Booker T. Washington community. And through that work, we were able to work with all of our community partners to really identify some key programming that was evidence-based to help implement in that community to move that needle. So really excited about that work and how it has been forming and taking place. Today, we have more partners with us that are doing some great work in the community. Donovan Duncan, he's the Executive Vice President of Urban Strategies with more than 10 years of experience in developing and housing industry. It includes managing, implementing a property maintenance strategy, recertification, federal, state, and local regulations related to implementing an outstanding housing solution, housing new admission, and effective management of a 20,000 person waiting list. So welcome. We also have Marlon Foster. He's the Executive Director of Knowledge Quest. For over 20 years, he has given his expertise to the organization's mission, which is responding to the needs of the community through helping to stabilize homes, providing access to health, and by making a clear path to opportunities for families. Today, he continues to work, live, and worship in the South Memphis community and continues to dedicate his life to build that community and the people within it. Next, we have, as I turn my page, Catherine Gamel. She is the Director of Transportation. Welcome. With 16 years as an AutoZoner. She supports getting parts weekly to more than 6,000 retail stores. She advocates for the development of women. She was co-founder of the first business resource group at AutoZone in 2014 to support the development of our female AutoZoners. She joined the Women's Foundation as a board member in 2015 and has been chair of our grants committee for the last 3 years. Catherine is a native Memphian and loves seeing all the incredible opportunities for women Foundation and the great work this grantee partners bring to the city. And lastly, we have Amity Schuyler. She's the Senior Vice President of Workforce Development with the Greater Memphis Chamber. She has a deep understanding of the importance of creating economic mobility through the creation of
and access to quality jobs. She came to Memphis with a long history of community engagement and 20 years of cabinet level and CEO roles in the nonprofit, state, local, and government sectors. She came to Memphis first as the Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Education and then to Memphis as the Chief Strategy and Innovation for Shelby County Schools, which is now Memphis Shelby County Schools. She recently joined the Women's Foundation Board of Directors as well. Welcome, everyone. So for the next few minutes, we want to have a conversation with you all just to go deeper into some of the work that has been taking place. And so Marlon, I will start with you. With Knowledge Quest, you all have been a granted partner with the Women's Foundation for several years to incorporate place-based strategies in the South Memphis community. In about 2 minutes, briefly describe the specific strategies that Knowledge Quest is using to deploy the 2Gen approach to improve economic mobility. And from that, what benefits have you seen in the community from that work?
Our 2Gen strategy really centers around a methodology we've developed that we refer to as H2O, Home, Health, and Opportunity. So under that home banner, and our Knowledge Quest, and all three of these sites on the same street. So we're about kind of defined geography for a defined group of families over this defined span of time. But at the site of Gaston, there's a case management toward economic stability that's funded in part by the Women's Foundation and extended learning there. At our main campus, there's Greenleaf Learning Farm under the health banner, and also an extended learning presence. In our Knowledge Quest at College Park site, we do a lot of work around mental health, as well as an extended learning presence. So we call that methodology again, H2O. And as far as impact, I would say, especially looking at all my colleagues in this room, we're probably most motivated by the collective impact that we're able to make as all of these programs partner with so many awesome nonprofits in this room, corporate supporters. So I think we've been able to be a part of early foundational work that later led to seeding success, to 2010, first urban farm that got USDA certified, was organically certified. And now we see a lot of work there, to partner with Baptists and being a part of, Memphis was actually the first in the nation to have ACE mitigation from a preventative lens. So I think when I think back, probably those efforts where we've been able to partner and really see our work being a contributor to a much broader work has been the most impactful.
Thank you so much for that, Marlon. So Donovan, with the work that Urban Strategies and the Women Foundation established, you all were able to establish a public-private partnership with the city of Memphis over 15 years ago. Can you please describe the significance of your national case management model and how you integrated that into a 2-generation approach to achieve positive outcomes for your families?
Sure. Good morning. Come on, we can do better than that. Good morning. I'll start by saying I just love me some Miss Ruby, and when she calls, you just come, right? So that's what I've done today to support the Women's Foundation for Greater Memphis and all the wonderful work you do. Urban Strategies, as we take our work up looking nationally, right? Because we're in 28 cities, 49 communities, in 2 territories. So we kind of figure out what is the culturally competent way to do this work and how to center the lived experience in the way that produces results. And that takes policy reform, that takes really focusing on place and how place matters, investing in tools to bring safety, mastery, and connection, as we say. We don't really say trauma informed, but we do know that everyone wants to feel safe in the place that they live. They want to feel connected and they want to master life. And then how do we connect economic mobility to that strategy to move people to a living wage? And that takes a comprehensive approach of partners, as Myron said, but also public-private partnerships, right? The government is the biggest investor in our society, period, right? There's no way to argue philanthropy can't get us out this issue alone. The government really supports and funds our ecosystem of our economy. And how do we, and public-private partnerships are needed. They fund businesses, they fund and the ecosystem of how we operate today. So how do we get folks to bet on people in a different type of way to really ensure that they can master this thing called life, right? And doing it in a tangible way, right? Our work tells us when we started in South City 5 years ago now, average income was about $4,000, right? That's not financial literacy, right? That's not financial literacy. That's not teaching somebody how to manage their bank, their financial statement. It ain't enough income. If we can ground ourselves in the fact that there's not enough income. Today, it's about $24,000. Significant improvements, but it's still trailing. Oh, thank you. Clap for the folks in the back, because I just get to steer the ship. They do all the hard work. It's significantly better, right? But it's still trailing the city and the county, which average income is roughly around $50,000. So our next charge is how do we get families from $24,000 to $50,000 so they can depict what their quality of life for them and their children look like.
Thank you, Donovan. As a real quick follow-up to that, as you talk about the model of how we're improving this kind of incomes outlook, what are some of the areas that you think if there's additional resources were available should or could be scaled? And how important are collaborative partners like the Women's Foundation in that type of work?
We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the Women's Foundation, so collaboration is key. I think additional resources are extremely important when we think about policy and how policy really impacts people, right? We can shift policy all day long. We can come up and say that if we do X, Y results, but we also have to shift the mindset of the individuals who are operating said policies, right? If their mindset doesn't change, you will continue to have the challenges you have. An example of that is, I worked at an organization where, I'm not going to name their name, but I worked there and we were moving people to evictions because potentially a child in that household didn't have a birth certificate. It's a federal requirement that they have to recertify, you have to have a birth certificate. And if you couldn't produce that, you were moved towards eviction because you're non-compliant. So I asked the question, how much does a birth certificate cost? They're like $20. How much did the eviction cost to file a writ? It was like, it's $175. And it makes more sense for us to buy a birth certificate, right? That's the level of, so we think about resources, right? We're thinking about how do we use them in a more tangible way to produce different results. If we all here today can ground ourselves in the experience that humanity is extremely important, what are those ancillary things that need to happen, whether it's related to health, whether it's related to economic mobility, whether it's related to housing stability, right? All of those things are critical. Education, right? All those things are critical to the success of communities. And all of those things need to be resourced differently. And I think when we talk about the last point I'll make around education is pay teachers more.
Thank you. I think we have a few amens in the audience. So Catherine, in your role with AutoZone, but also as the chair of the Women's Foundation Grants and Programming, in role you look over the overall investments of the grantees and community partners. And thinking about Vision 2020 Year 5 Impact Report, what do you think has been the greatest accomplishment related to the Women's Foundation investments and the Vision 2020 strategic plan?
Well, I think you can look at the metrics that Gina shared with you earlier. You can look at the $7 million invested, the 53% increase in household income. You can look at the 5,800 youths who were served in programs. Those are amazing metrics. But I think the real beauty in what we've done in 38126 is the sense of community and collaboration amongst the grantee partners, the community that was there. It was a strong community before the investment, but the grantee partners, the Women's Foundation, and the community. That's what's beautiful. And the fact that it's sustainable, that we're able to expand this with Vision 2025 into other zip codes and build on the foundation that we've laid in 38126. I think that's the greatest accomplishment of the last 5 years.
Thank you, Catherine. And just a quick follow-up. You talked a lot about the metrics that you all are utilizing with your investors. Why is it so important to gather that data and information from partners?
Well, I think there's an expression that what gets measured gets done. So I think that's really important. We need to know if we're having an impact. The Women's Foundation, our value and the value that we add is bringing the resources and the partners and the grantee partners together to build in a community. So we have to measure what's going on and what impact we're having to show our value. It also helps us get closer to our grantee partners. We partner with the Center for Research and Education Policy at the University of Memphis. Over the last 5 years, they've helped us develop a very standardized way that all of our grantee partners can report to us what they're doing. So we can compare and contrast and see where additional help is needed or additional resources are needed. And we review that every year as part of our grantee board and grantee committee. So we're reevaluating all the time, and that data is invaluable. I also think that the donors are investors. They want to see the return on investment. They want to understand, what are we doing? How is our money being utilized? And that is critical. And that metrics, that information that we receive from our grantee partners is the way that we are looking at, statistically, how are we measuring it? What are we doing from a quantitative perspective?
Thank you so much. Coming from a data-driven organization, completely agree. So Amity, in your role working with workforce development with the Greater Memphis Chamber, you all have been working on an economic growth strategy. Can you share with us some of the primary goals and strategies within that?
Yes, so we're really proud of our work that we've done over the last 18 months with the Brookings Economic Indicators Lab. And through that lab, we identified 40 indicators of measures of prosperity for the entire community. And then asked ourselves the question, what is the Chamber's role in impacting those 40 indicators in what we call the People-Powered Prosperity Dashboard? And so our goal under Prosper Memphis 2030, very similar to Seeding Success's strategic plan and the Women's Foundation's strategic plan, is to recruit and attract 700 companies, but not just 700 companies of any industry, really focusing on advanced industries, health tech, technology, advanced manufacturing. These are the industries that have high growth in jobs. For every one job they bring, they grow 4 more. These are the industries that offer jobs, high-paying quality jobs. As a matter of fact, sometimes twice as much as the peer jobs in other industries, and unfortunately, including that of a teacher, that are open to usually employees that have a high school degree. And then, of course, there are seats on the bus for all levels of education. It's the most diversified industry of any type of business that you could attract to a community. We believe that if we recruit those to Memphis, we will create 50,000 quality jobs that are available to everyone with all sorts of education and some credentials similar to what we have going on in our place-based academic and education supports. We want half of those jobs to be represented by the Black community here in Memphis in the next 10 years. And so that's really the strategy of our growth, is to attract those advanced industries that will grow our community and move the needle for everyone.
Thank you, Amity. And just to follow up on that, you started to speak to this in terms of the alignment with the foundations, the Women's Foundation strategic plan, but also some of the emerging partnerships. When you think about that work, where do you see that there's opportunities to increase economic mobility for families when we think about areas specifically focused on by the Women's Foundation? And how does this align to their plan?
You bet. So I think that we've said it a couple times this morning, place-based. One of our talking points with our members is that if you don't have a neighborhood relationship, you don't have a workforce development strategy, right? Because we know that the workforce is developed close to home and people need to be able to get on that ramp. We call it an on-ramp to economic mobility from their front door into the workplace. And so the alignment that we see happening with workforce development at the Chamber, where we say frequently, we have to stop talking about workforce development like it's a social initiative and start talking about it like it's our economic development and community initiative that will rise the tide for everyone. And so getting into the place-based neighborhoods, developing from the front door with those wraparound services is something that we are all embracing. Jamilica and I were just talking this morning. We have $75 million in new money this morning in Memphis for workforce development. And more announcements to come, but every single one of those 3 grants that comprise that 75 million all start in the neighborhood at the front door of a person's home, where they live, where they are invested, and where they feel safe, and they're going to get the wraparound services that they need to get onto that on-ramp and step into those quality jobs that we believe that we will see arriving. Actually, they're arriving every day in Memphis and will continue to do so for the next 10 years. And we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to step into those.
No, thank you so much for sharing it, Amity. And I think that was just a nice way to kind of summarize a lot of the discussions that we're having today and as we move this work forward. So as we start to wrap this up, I would like to give each of the panelists 1 minute to think through, take a moment to think about it, but as we think about the work that the Women's Foundation is about to embark on with their expansion into additional neighborhoods, what advice would you give them to help elevate their place-based work as they're thinking through this process and going through this work now? So take about 20 seconds to think about it and 45 seconds to a minute to share. Anyone would like to volunteer to go first? Thank you.
I want to put out a request to our grantee partners. As we expand into zip codes, one of the things we learned through the grant cycle this year and talking to you all is that you're in the zip codes that we're moving into. You already have a lot of knowledge about what those zip codes need and what those families need. Share that with us. We learned some great information, some new topics this year. Housing is a real issue. COVID is still an issue out there. So please share that with us. It's really important and it will help us as we move forward and make those decisions about how to invest.
Thank you so much. Marlon, you look ready.
Yeah, Alex here. You got the order started now. But I'd probably say, going back to really the work that's happened in South City, what I would describe as a community engaged design process. And you're alluding to that of, how the Women's Foundation really was just in community. I'm talking meetings, bringing all of us together, from residents to providers to government, faith community. And I think that strategy has worked well for you. In addition to that kind of community engagement, I think just intentionality that the Women's Foundation has already fostered through this 2025 vision of really being holistic, being intentional, and really seeking not only our local support, but national support of bringing new ideas, new resources, new innovations to those communities where you serve.
Amity.
I think what Marlon said, yes. But I think that I'm probably the newest Memphian in the room, by the way. I'm starting my 3rd year here. And what I have found is, and I know that the foundation knows, is that every zip code, even though they could be 2 streets away from one another, is uniquely different, has its own heritage, it has its own culture. And so anticipating the needs of those new zip codes, I think, is always going to be crucial. But here's what I would say to the foundation and every nonprofit in this room: don't be afraid to tell people they're doing it wrong, right? So I have noticed that there are a lot of well-meaning and intentioned organizations and individuals in this community. And sometimes they want to do the very best work and the very best things, but they're doing it wrong because they haven't done the intentionality of understanding the need at the neighborhood level, or they're not connected into the community mavens that hold the history and the knowledge of what the real need is. And the worst thing that we can do moving forward, particularly with an influx of new grant money and more money that will be coming, is to sit back and watch people try to do the right work the wrong way. So the foundation is in an excellent position, particularly with leadership, with reputation, to have those crucial conversations with organizations and individuals that want to do the very best good, but need to be pulled aside and said, you're doing it wrong. Here's how you really come alongside a community. Here's how you really do place-based initiatives. Here's how you measure, and here is the data that you need to be looking at. It's time that as we start working, we're not just doing it to feel good, that we're doing it to really rise the tide. And I think that the foundation in particular has the leadership established to have those crucial conversations so that the ship starts moving in the right direction for everyone.
Oh, God, so I get to close?
Yes, sir.
I'll start by saying, I was raised by women, and my grandmother told me, you don't tell women nothing. So, so I'll start there and say, but if you invited me to give a few options, they would look like this. One, women are the epicenter of humanity in our future. So stating that, always remember to dream boldly, connect the resources in a way that really shape community, and just be charismatic as you are. And that will be the change that we need in Memphis for a different future. And then I'll leave you also with something my grandmother used to say: when you walk with purpose, you collide with destiny.
And on that note, thank you so much.
We may just have our first male board member.
Exactly. Possibly. Well, first, on that mic drop moment, I would like to thank all of our panelists today for this great conversation. I know it just scratched the surface, but it really gave us a lot to think about as we move forward in this work together. So really looking forward to the new emerging partnerships and conversations and discovery that will take place as we embark on this expansion that will be taking place. It's really exciting work, and looking to see how it unfolds. So now I would like to turn it back over to our co-chairs. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you to our phenomenal moderator and panelists. We appreciate your participation. And we are so excited to use the information you shared today in our work going forward. I encourage each of you here to learn more about our grantee partners and the impactful work that they're doing in our community. Our next speaker is a community leader whose purpose in life is to help our children learn, play, and thrive. Please welcome Miss Barbara Nesbitt. Located in the heart of 38126, the Center, Vance Avenue Youth Development Center has served as a beacon of hope, providing a sense of security, daily meals, technology support for homework, and a place to enjoy being a child. It is a happy place and filled with love. The center provides hope for children and senior citizens in the community, and we want to recognize Barbara for her work and commitment to the community. Miss Barbara.
Good. Oh, let me move over a little bit more. Good morning. Oh, you don't sound good. Good morning. Oh, that's better. Hi. Good morning. Hello. Greetings. My name is Barbara Nesbitt. I'm the founder, the executive director of and president of Vance Avenue Youth Development Center. This is my sidekick over here, Kimberly Norman. What I can't do, she can. She's like my left hand. Vance Avenue Youth Development Center is located in 38126 zip code. Our address is 670 Vance Avenue. And our slogan is developing young minds for the future. And I have to give great thanks to and support for supporting us to the Women's Foundation for a Greater Memphis. I hope I said it correctly. Ms. Ruby Bright and all of the staff have been wonderful to us, but also with their help, we have this year alone over 1,000 children that we have fed with and their families. As far as educational-wise, educational assistance for the youth and their families, emergency food program, thanks to the Women's Foundation. We have mental health. We have two types of mental health. We have one type of mental health where the children, some of them have been abused, and that's a different one. Then the second one is we have some mental health where all of us have a little bit of that one. So we just pull over to the side. So, but the most important part is our young people. That's the most important part. Education. We also have a financial class with our young people. And that financial class, we partner with SunTrust, Trump Bank. And for every child come through our door, although their parents are not able to open up an account, I promise each child, each month, I will put $1 into their savings account until they turn 18. When they turn 18, then they will graduate from high school, hopefully. I won't have to pay graduation fees. I won't have to pay some college tuition, or the center won't have to. Ms. Ruby Bright, the Women's Foundation, and some of our other partners out here that I see, they have done a great work by supporting us. We come from nothing, and we think we're something, but we still somebody. Also, we have stats on what we have done thanks to the Women's Foundation. My sidekick, Ms. Kimberly Norman, the assistant director, will tell you.
Good morning, everyone. A couple of our success stories, a few of our programs. We have helped over 954 participants receiving immersive food supplies, 64 participants receiving transportation services, 12 receiving mental health service and mental health education. 27 children were placed in early childhood education programs. 33 parents received parenting skills education. 59 youth acquired summer employment. 5 youth participated in internship, and 47 youth and adults started a business or micro enterprises. We provide hot meals Monday through Fridays, some Saturdays. Miss Barbara gonna be there on Saturday too, to the youth that we serve in our community. We look forward to continuing our partnership with Women's Foundation for a Greater Memphis to assist even more youth and families with making a better change. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nesbitt, we appreciate you for getting up here and sharing the impact that you guys have on our community. With that, we are at the end of our meeting. We hope that we have provided you with some meaningful updates on our important work, both now and in the future, and we thank you for your investment. But before we go, I'd like to acknowledge the University Club. Thank you guys for hosting us this morning. The staff of the Women's Foundation, please stand up, raise your hand, be recognized. Thank you to our volunteers who made today happen, and thank you for the swag bags, courtesy of Nike. Power of the Purse Save the Dates have gone out, so that is your official reminder to please buy your tickets. And it is my absolute honor to bring back to the stage our fearless leader who has transformed the Women's Foundation and our community over the past 22 years, Miss Ruby Bright. And we'll tell you now, we're going to have a big celebration on December 16th. So go ahead and mark your calendars. So, Miss Ruby, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the impact that you've had. I will give you a moment. I'm going to go meeting.
Wow, this will be my last annual meeting as president and CEO of the Women's Foundation for Greater Memphis. I look forward to the next few months preparing for December 16th. And I want you all to know that I expect you to send me off on my next journey in style. Style. And that would mean that, what's my favorite thing to do? And enough is said. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Now our meeting is adjourned. Board members,